Imagine being just 14, feeling alone at home, and suddenly strangers start reaching out online. Some kind, some dangerous. This is Emma's story about how she faced a hidden threat many kids don't even realize exists. If you want to hear more stories that matter, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. The house was quiet, as usual. The ticking of the kitchen clock was the only sound that kept her company. Emma sat on the floor of her bedroom, her back against the wall, phone glowing in her hand. The light from the screen illuminated her pale face and messy brown hair. It was already past 10 p.m., but she wasn't tired. She rarely was anymore. Her mom had left for the night shift 3 hours ago. Same routine, 5 nights a week. Emma had long stopped asking when she'd be home. She knew the answer. Early morning, tired, quiet, straight to bed. They barely talked during the week. Just notes on the fridge and text messages like, dinner in fridge, or love you. Be safe. Emma loved her mom, but she was alone. Constantly. With no siblings, no dad, and no close friends at school, the internet had become her world. Her safe space. Her escape. Tonight, she was on an app she'd started using a few months ago, a chat forum where people from around the world could talk anonymously. Most of the time, she talked to other teens about music or shows. But sometimes, older people joined too. That's how she met him. His username was QuietAdam34. He'd messaged her 2 weeks ago with a simple, "You seem smart." Not many like that here. At first, Emma ignored him. His profile said he was 35, but he kept writing. Polite, funny, curious. He asked about books she liked, music, how school was going. He said she had a beautiful mind, and that talking to her made his day better. No one had said something like that to Emma before. Not her classmates, who thought she was weird for being quiet. Not her teachers, who barely noticed her unless she forgot homework. And not her mom, who loved her, yes, but hadn't had time to really see her in years. So she replied, and kept replying. Now, 2 weeks in, they talked every night. Emma smiled as she read his latest message. "I wish I had met someone like you when I was younger. Maybe I wouldn't have felt so empty then." She typed quickly, "You're not empty. I like talking to you too. You make me feel less invisible." A little dot blinked on screen. He was typing back, "You're special, Emma. But you already know that, right?" Her heart fluttered, in a weird way. Not romantic, exactly, but thrilling. Someone saw her. Someone listened. Then came another message. "Can I tell you something kind of personal? But you have to promise not to freak out or judge me." Emma hesitated. She looked around her room. The unicorn lamp she'd had since she was 8 still sat by the bed. Her posters were of indie bands and old Pixar movies. She suddenly felt small, but curiosity won. "Sure. Promise." Another pause. Then, "Sometimes I feel things for people. People I probably shouldn't. Not in a bad way, just misunderstood. The world doesn't get it. But I think you might." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What did that mean? She didn't fully understand, but didn't want him to stop talking. "Like who?" she typed. He answered, "Younger people. Not kids, don't worry. Just old souls and young bodies. Like you. Smart. Real. I don't talk to just anyone like this." Emma blinked. Something in her stomach turned, not quite fear, but a tightness. Was this creepy? But maybe he was just misunderstood. He wasn't being gross. He hadn't said anything bad. Maybe he meant emotionally, right? Still, her reply came slower this time. "Oh, I'm not sure I get it, but I'm listening." He didn't write back right away. Downstairs, a loud truck rumbled by, breaking the silence. Then, "You're amazing. Most people would freak out. Not you. That's why I trust you." Emma's eyes lingered on the word trust. She wanted to be trustworthy. Wanted to prove she wasn't just some dumb kid. "I trust you too," she replied, and felt her chest tighten as she hit send. The next day, Emma sat at the back of the classroom, ignoring the drone of her history teacher. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She waited until the bell rang before checking. "Adam, I missed you last night. Fell asleep thinking about you. Can you send me a pic later? I want to see that beautiful face when I'm sad." She froze. Her thumb hovered over the screen. He'd never asked for a photo before. She stared at the message. A small red flag rose in her mind, like the ones they showed in health class. Online strangers. Be careful. Don't send pictures. But that was for random weirdos. This was Adam. He knew her. He listened. He cared. Still, something felt different now. He wanted something. Emma put her phone away and walked home slower than usual. When she entered the house, the fridge had a note. Work late again. Leftover lasagna. Love you. She didn't eat. Just sat on the couch, staring at the screensaver on the TV. Was Adam still safe to talk to? Was she just being immature? A message buzzed again. Adam, you okay? Did I scare you? I didn't mean to. Just forget it if it's weird. But I do think you're beautiful. Emma stared and didn't reply. Emma didn't sleep much that night. She tossed and turned in bed, the sheets tangled around her legs like vines. Adam's message kept replaying in her head. I want to see that beautiful face when I'm sad. It echoed in a loop, first sounding sweet, then slowly sour, like something spoiled left too long in the sun. He hadn't messaged again after her silence. That was unusual. He normally followed up if she didn't respond. Was he upset with her? Embarrassed? Angry? A part of her hoped he was gone. Another part panicked at the thought of losing him. When her alarm buzzed at 7 a.m., Emma stared at the ceiling instead of getting up. She hated school anyway. Her mom had already left. No one would notice if she stayed home. And so she did. By noon, she was curled up in the living room, scrolling through her phone, avoiding the app where Adam messaged her. But around 12:37 p.m., curiosity won. She opened the chat. He was online. Before she could decide whether to type something, a message popped up. Adam, hey, I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. That wasn't my intention. Emma exhaled sharply. It's okay, she typed. Then quickly added, I just wasn't sure what to say. I understand, he replied. Sometimes I say too much. I just feel like I can be myself with you. You make me forget how messed up the world is. I like talking to you, she said truthfully, though the knot in her stomach hadn't untied. Then he wrote, Can I make it up to you? I want to show you something. Emma blinked. What kind of something? A secret spot I go to when I feel like giving up. It's beautiful. No one ever goes there. I think you'd love it. She frowned. Like, show me a picture? No. I mean take you there. In person. She froze. Suddenly the silence in the room felt oppressive. The tick of the wall clock was too loud. Her heart thudded hard in her ears. I don't know, she wrote cautiously. That seems risky. I get it. But I promise it's not weird. I just thought maybe you'd want to hang out sometime. I'd never do anything to hurt you. Emma didn't answer right away. She opened a second tab and searched older men talking to teens online. Words like grooming, manipulation, predators filled the page. She clicked one article. A girl, 13, met a man from a chat app. He'd been sweet, understanding, not like the others. 3 months later, she was missing. Her photo was in a yellow box with bold black letters, still not found. Emma's hands shook. But Adam wasn't like that, right? He'd never yelled at her, never pressured her, never sent anything gross. Just words. Just too many words. Too many almost things. Still, her instincts whispered now. And this time, she listened. I'm not allowed to meet people from the internet, she wrote finally. My mom would kill me. There was a pause. Then, of course, I understand. You're a good girl. You follow rules. I respect that. Emma exhaled again, relieved. But then, still maybe someday. I just feel like we'd really connect in person. She didn't reply. That evening, Emma was helping herself to leftover pasta when her phone buzzed again. Adam, can I tell you something honestly? Sure. Sometimes I think about you before I fall asleep. In a way I probably shouldn't. Emma nearly dropped her fork. There it was. The line. Crossed. Her chest tightened, heart thudding wildly. She didn't respond. The next message came seconds later. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I can't help how I feel. Then another. You're so mature. You probably understand more than most girls your age. Emma stared at the words until they blurred. Her hands were shaking. Her legs felt like rubber. She opened a notepad on her phone and wrote down every message. She didn't know why, but it felt like the right thing to do. For the first time since they started talking, she was scared. Really scared. The next morning, Emma sat across from her school counselor. She'd walked into the office first thing and asked to talk. Her voice had trembled the entire way through the story. But Ms. Doherty hadn't interrupted once. Just listened. Now, Emma sat in silence as the counselor typed something on her computer, then looked up gently. Emma, you were incredibly brave to come here today. Emma's eyes welled. She nodded slowly. This man was grooming you. What he's doing is not just inappropriate. It's illegal. And dangerous. I didn't know, Emma whispered. You're not supposed to. That's the terrifying part. They hide behind kindness. They make you feel special until you're too deep to run. Ms. Doherty reached across the desk. You did the right thing, and you are not alone anymore. Emma looked down at her shaking hands. No, she wasn't. By the time Emma returned home from school, her mind was buzzing with everything Ms. Doherty had told her. She'd never seen the word grooming written on paper before, never thought it applied to her life. And yet, when Ms. Doherty had listed the signs, flattery, secrecy, escalating comments, it was like she'd read Emma's entire chat history aloud. Emma had handed over screenshots and messages. Her phone was with the school's safety officer now. They said they might need to involve the police, and that someone from the department specialized in online child exploitation would contact her mother. That thought made Emma nauseous. Her mom. How would she react? She'd been working extra shifts lately, barely home, always tired. Emma wasn't even sure her mom knew she had that app. They barely spoke outside of simple questions. But now, everything was going to change. That evening, Emma sat at the kitchen table in silence, twisting her hands. The apartment was quiet, too quiet, as always. The TV flickered in the background, but she wasn't watching. At 6:17 p.m., the front door opened. Her mom stepped in, dropping her keys into the bowl by the door. She looked exhausted. Her jacket hung awkwardly off one shoulder. Hey, she mumbled. You eat? Yeah, Emma said softly. Her mom walked into the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of water, leaned against the counter. Something in her expression shifted when she saw Emma's face. You okay? Emma hesitated. Her heart was pounding. I need to tell you something. Her mom didn't move, just stared at her, the exhaustion evaporating slightly. I've been talking to someone online, Emma began. For a while. At first, he seemed nice, like a friend. But he's not. He's 35. Her mom's eyes widened. Emma pushed forward. He started saying things. Stuff that made me uncomfortable. At first, I didn't get it. But then I did. I talked to the school counselor. I gave her everything. They said they might call you. Silence. The refrigerator hummed. The world waited. Her mother sat down across from her, jaw tight, eyes glassy. Why didn't you tell me before? She asked, her voice low, almost cracking. Emma felt her own tears start to rise. I didn't think I could. You're never home. And when you are, you're tired, or on the phone, or asleep. I work for us, Emma. I know, but I feel invisible. And he noticed me. Her mom looked like she'd been punched. Then, slowly, she reached across the table and took Emma's hand. I'm sorry, she said. I should have seen something. I should have, God, I should have been here. They both cried then. Quiet, shaky tears. The distance between them began to shrink, piece by piece. The next week was a blur. 2 detectives visited the school and later came to their apartment. They asked Emma to go over everything again and again. She felt sick each time, but they were patient. Kind. Adam's real name was different. His online persona was a carefully crafted illusion, a man who liked hiking, poetry, animals. In reality, he had prior accusations, sealed juvenile records, and was already on the radar of a cybercrimes task force. Emma wasn't his first target, but she might be the first to come forward in time. The police said Emma had likely saved not only herself, but other girls, too. That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her body drained. She wasn't sure what healing looked like. She didn't feel brave. She felt violated, like something inside her had been touched with dirty hands and could never be fully clean again. But when she closed her eyes, she also saw Ms. Doherty's face. The way she'd said, "You're not alone." She saw her mom reaching for her hand. And maybe, just maybe, that meant something. Emma started going to a support group for girls who'd been through similar experiences. It was strange, at first, hearing others say out loud what she'd barely whispered in her mind. But there was comfort in the shared silence, too. One girl said something that stayed with her. They don't break you all at once. They do it slowly, like boiling a frog. Emma didn't laugh. No one did. But they all understood. She learned about boundaries, about digital safety, about how predators used affection as a weapon. She even started helping the school create a workshop for other students about online safety. Not as a victim, but as someone who knew, who understood. Emma and her mom sat in the car before school, sipping gas station coffee and chocolate milk. The sun was rising over the skyline, painting the sky with soft pink and amber light. Her mom reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind Emma's ear. "You're stronger than I ever knew," she said. "I'm proud of you." Emma smiled faintly. I'm getting there. Then, softer. Can we hang out more? Like, actually talk sometimes. Her mom nodded. I'd like that. Emma stepped out of the car with a little more air in her lungs than usual. It started small. Emma didn't expect it to go further than her school, the police, and her mom. But after a few days, her counselor, Ms. Doherty, pulled her aside and asked gently, would you be okay if we shared your story? Anonymously. Just the basics. To help other kids be aware. Emma hesitated, the idea making her stomach twist. But after thinking about it for a night, she nodded. If it helps someone else not fall for it, she said, then yeah. What she didn't expect was how fast the story would spread. The school sent out an official bulletin. Then a local news site picked it up. It didn't name her, but it described a 14-year-old girl who'd been approached online by a 35-year-old man. How she spoke up before anything physical happened, and how the police were now involved. The article ended with a quote from an anonymous student. She's not weak. She's brave. She saved others, too. Emma recognized the wording. It was something she'd told Ms. Doherty in private. Somehow, that sentence made her chest ache and swell all at once. The whispers started in the hallway at school. Not cruel, not exactly, but constant. That's her, right? She's the one from the article. Isn't it scary that this stuff happens to normal girls? Emma kept her head down at first, but then something surprising happened. Other girls started sitting next to her at lunch, one after another. A shy sophomore named Kayla leaned over during science and said, that happened to me too, but I never told anyone. A junior named Sasha showed Emma a screenshot on her phone of a creepy message from a stranger. He said he found me from a photo I posted of my cat. I blocked him, but it shook me. The stories poured in. Quietly, hesitantly. And Emma listened. She didn't give advice. Didn't try to be a hero. She just listened. Somehow that was enough. At home, Emma's mom started keeping her phone on silent during dinner. She didn't always succeed. Her job still demanded a lot, but she was trying. They started a routine. Wednesday nights were no screens nights. They'd order cheap takeout, sit on the floor with paper plates, and talk. At first, it was awkward. Then, Emma shared a meme that made her laugh. Her mom shared a ridiculous story from her teen years. They ended up giggling with mouths full of noodles. It wasn't perfect, but it was new and real. Emma felt herself coming back to life. 2 weeks after the story went semi-viral, the police called again. Adam's been arrested, the detective said. We got him. Emma sat frozen on the couch, gripping the armrest. He was talking to at least 6 other girls, the detective continued. Most of them younger than you. Some gave him their addresses. He was planning trips. Your report stopped that. Emma closed her eyes. Her stomach turned. She felt sick. But underneath the nausea, something else bloomed, a strange mix of fury and relief. She had helped stop a predator. Then came the hate. It came slowly, comments on the article, messages from anonymous accounts, posts saying she was probably lying or seeking attention. Girls these days make up anything, one comment read. She's 14 going on 25, said another. If he didn't touch her, what's the big deal? Emma wanted to scream. How could people not understand? How could they defend someone like Adam? Her mom found her curled in bed one night, staring at her phone. She didn't lecture. She simply took the phone away, held Emma, and whispered, the people who matter know the truth. The rest, they're just noise. Emma decided not to respond to any of the hate. She deleted her old accounts, made new ones, smaller ones, just close friends. She didn't need 100 strangers following her. She needed peace. And slowly she got it. The nightmares lessened. The anxiety calmed. She started sketching again, little animals, faces, sometimes just lines and shapes. Art helped her breathe. She started journaling. Some entries were angry. Some were numb. Some were just, today I got out of bed. That's enough. Each word was a small brick in rebuilding her sense of self. The school asked her to speak during Internet Safety Month. Just a short talk. Just a few words. Emma said no at first. Then she said maybe. Then she wrote down everything she wished someone had told her. About loneliness. About attention that feels good but isn't. About how predators disguise themselves as friends. She read it in front of 50 people in the auditorium, voice shaking but steady. When she finished, the room was quiet. Then someone started clapping. Then more. Emma looked up and saw Ms. Doherty smiling, tears in her eyes. After her speech, Emma felt a strange mix of exhaustion and relief. It was like carrying a heavy weight that she finally put down, even if just for a moment. Some students came up to her afterward, shaking her hand or hugging her quietly. One girl, with bright green eyes and a nervous smile, said, "Thank you. I'm scared, but you gave me hope." Emma smiled back, feeling warmth spreading through her chest. Maybe she was stronger than she thought. But the fight wasn't over. The news kept following her story. Social media exploded with hashtags supporting #BraveEmma and warnings about online predators. Yet, at school, some students still whispered, some teachers avoided her. The reality was complicated. Her mom tried her best to protect Emma. She installed parental controls on Emma's devices and started attending more of her school meetings. But she also saw how much Emma needed space to heal, to grow, to be herself without the constant spotlight. One rainy afternoon, Emma sat in her room, scrolling through messages from strangers. Some were supportive, but most were random spam or worse, creepy accounts pretending to be friends. She sighed, wishing she could just disappear from the internet altogether. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Kayla, the sophomore who had confided in her before. "Hey, do you want to come over this weekend? Just chill, no internet. We can watch movies and talk." Emma stared at the message, heart pounding. She wanted to say yes, to feel normal again, but fear held her back. What if people found out? What if it made things worse? Still, she typed back, "Yeah, I'd like that." That weekend, Emma went to Kayla's house, a small apartment with posters of bands and stacks of books. They spent hours talking about everything and nothing, laughing over silly jokes and sharing secrets. It was the first time Emma felt truly safe in weeks. Slowly, she began to open up about the loneliness she'd felt before, the silence of an empty house while her mom worked late. Kayla listened without interrupting, her eyes full of understanding. "You're not alone," Kayla said softly. "You never have to be." At school, things started to shift, too. The principal announced a new program to teach students about online safety and emotional support. Emma was asked to help, but this time she chose to stay behind the scenes, writing articles and helping organize workshops. Her mom noticed the change in her, less withdrawn, more hopeful. One evening, they sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching an old movie. "You're doing really good, Em," her mom said quietly. "I'm proud of you." Emma smiled, feeling tears prick her eyes. "Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you." But healing wasn't a straight path. There were days when the memories hit hard, nightmares of messages, the fear, the betrayal. Some nights, Emma lay awake, heart pounding, afraid to close her eyes. During one such night, she found herself writing a letter, not to send, but to empty the pain. "Dear me, you are brave. You survived. You are more than what happened. The world is scary, but you are stronger. Keep going." Tears blurred the words as she folded the paper and placed it under her pillow. The next morning, Emma felt a little lighter. Emma's story reached beyond her small town. A podcast invited her to share her experience, hoping to raise awareness nationwide. Her voice trembled at first, but as she spoke about her fears, her courage, and the importance of speaking out, confidence grew. After the episode aired, messages flooded in, thank yous from teens and parents alike, stories of survival, and hopes for change. Emma realized something important. She was not just a victim. She was a voice, a force, and maybe, just maybe, a light in the darkness for others like her. Months had slipped by since Emma's speech, but the ripples of her courage continued to spread through her life and community. The intense spotlight had dimmed, yet the shadows of fear still lingered, reminding her that healing was never a straight path. One rainy afternoon, Emma sat by the window of her small bedroom, watching the droplets race each other down the glass. Her sketchbook lay open on her lap, filled with charcoal drawings of animals and faces. Fragments of her thoughts she found easier to express with pencils than words. Her phone buzzed suddenly, jolting her out of her quiet moment. She glanced at the screen, and her heart sank. It was an unknown number. "I know who you are. You can't hide forever." The message was short, but its cold weight pressed down on her chest like a heavy stone. Her fingers trembled as she showed the text to her mom. Her mother's face tightened. "We'll report this right away," she said, dialing the police's non-emergency line. The officer assured them it was likely someone trying to intimidate Emma, a cruel echo of the past, but the threat felt real and raw. That night, Emma lay awake in the dark, her mind racing. The fear was back, creeping like a shadow under her skin. But somewhere inside, a spark ignited, not of panic, but of resolve. She whispered to herself, "I won't let him win." In the following days, Emma and her mother dove into the world of community activism. They attended meetings at the local youth center, where parents, teachers, and police gathered to discuss protecting children from online predators. Emma shared her story with raw honesty, sometimes faltering, but always finishing strong. A mother sitting nearby reached out to squeeze Emma's hand. "Your bravery is saving lives," she said softly. "Thank you for speaking out." Her school responded too. New policies were introduced, tighter controls on social media use, education programs on digital safety, and a peer support group for students to share experiences without fear of judgment. Emma helped organize workshops, writing articles, and developing presentations alongside teachers and counselors. Despite these positive changes, the emotional toll was undeniable. Some days, Emma felt drained and vulnerable. Flashbacks would hit without warning, the creepy messages, the lies, the loneliness. She learned to recognize those moments and gave herself permission to rest. She would retreat to her art, drawing fierce animals or calming landscapes, each stroke a small victory against anxiety. One chilly spring evening, Emma and her mom sat on their porch wrapped in thick blankets, sipping tea. The streetlights flickered on as dusk settled. Her mother turned to her, eyes glistening with pride. "Emma, I've watched you grow through all this. You're stronger than I ever imagined." Emma smiled softly, the warmth of those words soaking into her bones. "I had to be. For me. For other girls who might be scared to speak." The fight against the darkness wasn't over, but Emma no longer faced it alone. She had found her voice, a circle of support, and a renewed sense of hope. Together with her mom and community, she was transforming pain into power, one step at a time. Spring melted into summer, and with it, Emma's life began to feel a little lighter, though the weight of what she'd endured never fully left her. The support from her mom, friends like Kayla, and the community gave her a fragile but growing sense of hope. Yet, Emma knew that the fight to protect herself and others was ongoing. One hot afternoon, Emma sat beneath the shade of a large oak tree at the park, flipping through the pages of her journal. It was filled with poems, sketches, and thoughts, sometimes raw, sometimes hopeful. She paused on a poem she had written about fear and courage, tracing the lines with her finger. Her phone buzzed in her lap. This time, it was a message from one of the peers in the support group, a girl named Mia. "Hey, Em, can we meet? I need to talk. It's urgent." Emma's heart quickened. She typed back quickly, "Yes." "Where?" "By the community center." "In 20 minutes." Emma grabbed her jacket and hurried out the door, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows. When she arrived, Mia was pacing nervously near the entrance. As Emma approached, Mia looked up with tear-filled eyes. "Emma, it's happening again. Another girl in our school is being targeted online. She's scared and doesn't know who to tell." Emma's stomach tightened. The nightmare was repeating itself. "Show me her messages," Emma urged gently. Mia handed over her phone, revealing texts filled with inappropriate comments and threats. Emma recognized the patterns all too well. "Have you told anyone else?" Emma asked. "No, she's terrified she'll be blamed or worse," Mia said, voice shaking. Emma's mind raced. She knew exactly what this girl needed, a safe space and trusted adults who would listen without judgment. "Let's bring her to the support group. I'll talk to the school counselors and make sure this is handled carefully," Emma said, determination rising. Over the next days, Emma worked closely with the girl, whose name was Lily. She met Lily in quiet corners of the library, listened to her fears, and shared stories about her own struggle, not to scare, but to show that she was not alone. Together, they met with the school counselor, who assured them that the school would take action to protect Lily and investigate the harassment. At home, Emma's mom watched her daughter with a new kind of awe. "You're becoming a leader," she said one night. "Not just for yourself, but for others." Emma nodded, feeling the weight and honor of that role. But it wasn't without challenges. Emma's own anxiety flared, especially when she had to face reminders of her past. Sometimes, the burden felt heavy, the lines between her pain and her responsibility blurring. One evening, after a long day, Emma sat alone in her room, overwhelmed. Her phone lit up with a video call, It was Kayla. Hey. Kayla's voice was gentle but firm. You're doing amazing, but don't forget to take care of yourself too. Emma exhaled, feeling tears threaten. I know. Sometimes it just feels like too much. Let's have a movie night this weekend, Kayla suggested. No talks about predators or fears. Just us and popcorn. Emma smiled, grateful. I'd like that. That weekend, the simple joy of friendship and laughter became a balm to Emma's weary soul. They watched comedies, shared silly stories, and for a few hours, the weight of the world lifted. Emma knew the path ahead was long and uncertain, but surrounded by friends, family, and a growing community, she felt ready to face whatever came next, with courage, hope, and a fierce determination to protect not just herself, but others who couldn't yet speak. The days grew shorter as summer edged into fall. Emma's world was busier than ever. Schoolwork, community meetings, support groups, and quiet moments stolen to recharge. Every day felt like walking a tightrope between healing and the weight of responsibility she'd chosen to carry. One chilly morning, Emma sat in the cafeteria, her tray half forgotten as she stared at her phone. A new message had arrived, from someone she hadn't expected to hear from again. It was from Mark. His words were coated with false remorse. I'm sorry for everything, Emma. I never meant to hurt you. Can we talk? Her heart thudded painfully, a storm of emotions swirling inside her. Fear, anger, confusion. Emma knew the dangers of letting him back in her life. But she also understood the power in facing fears head-on. After a long night of wrestling with her thoughts, she decided to respond. Why now? She typed, fingers trembling. He replied quickly. I want to make things right. For you. For me. Please. Emma didn't answer immediately. Instead, she talked it over with her mom, Kayla, and her counselor. They all warned her to be careful, to protect herself, but supported her choice. When they met in a public cafe days later, Emma's stomach knotted. Mark looked older, tired, maybe ashamed. But the memory of his past words lingered like a shadow. I'm sorry, Emma, he began. I know I hurt you. I was wrong. I've been getting help. Therapy. I'm trying to be better. Emma listened, cautious but curious. Was this a genuine apology? Or a manipulation? She asked questions, setting boundaries. She spoke openly about the pain he caused and the long road she'd walked since. By the end of the meeting, Emma felt a strange mix of closure and strength. She wasn't ready to forgive completely. That would take time, but she'd reclaimed her voice. Walking home, she thought about how far she'd come. From scared and isolated to standing firm against her past. But life kept throwing challenges her way. The school year brought new pressures, exams, college applications, and social drama. Some classmates whispered about Emma's activism. Some admired her. Others resented the attention. One day, a cruel rumor spread that Emma was looking for attention, trying to stir trouble. The whispers stung like invisible cuts. In the face of this, Emma leaned on her support group. They reminded her she wasn't alone. During one meeting, a younger student named Jasmine shared her story, bullied for being different, afraid to speak up. Emma reached out, offering encouragement and friendship. Together, they planned a school-wide campaign promoting kindness and respect, aiming to change the culture of fear and silence. Emma realized that her fight wasn't just personal anymore. It was about building a future where kids like Jasmine wouldn't have to suffer in silence. Her mother noticed the change in her daughter's spirit. You're becoming someone truly remarkable, she said, wrapping Emma in a warm hug. Emma smiled, feeling a quiet power growing inside her, a strength born from pain, courage, and the determination to protect others. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was thriving. Autumn deepened, painting the city in warm hues of orange and gold, and with the changing season, Emma felt the subtle transformation within herself. She was no longer the frightened girl hiding behind her screen. She had grown into a young woman with a mission, a purpose fueled by her own scars. The school campaign she and Jasmine had launched was gaining momentum. Posters adorned the hallways, featuring messages of kindness and respect. Teachers incorporated lessons on empathy and digital safety into their curriculum. Slowly, a ripple of change stirred among the students. One chilly afternoon, Emma received an invitation she hadn't expected, a chance to speak at the city's annual Youth Empowerment Conference. The event brought together young people from all backgrounds to share stories, inspire change, and advocate for their futures. Her mother hugged her tightly when Emma told her. "I'm so proud of you," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "This is your moment." Emma spent weeks preparing, rehearsing her speech in front of mirrors, friends, and even her mom's patient ears. She knew it would be hard to share her story in public, but she also knew how important it was. The day arrived. The auditorium buzzed with energy. Emma stood backstage, heart pounding like a drum. She thought back to the lonely nights, the fearful messages, the moments she almost gave up. Then the curtain lifted. Stepping into the spotlight, Emma's voice was steady, clear. She spoke of the dangers hidden behind screens, the pain of betrayal, and the power of speaking out. She shared how she and her mother had fought to reclaim safety, how a community could rise to protect its own. Her words resonated deeply. After her speech, dozens of young people approached her, thanking her for courage and honesty. Some shared their own stories, others asked how they could help. Emma felt a surge of hope. But as the conference ended and she returned home, she faced a harsh reminder. Not everyone was ready to listen or believe. The next day at school, a group of students confronted her, mocking her speech, calling her a drama queen, and worse. The whispers grew louder, the stares colder. Emma's stomach twisted. The loneliness she had feared was creeping back. Yet, this time, she was prepared. She met with her support group, drawing strength from their shared experiences. She talked openly about the pain, the resilience, and the work still to be done. Together, they planned a peaceful protest, a silent march through the school halls, carrying signs demanding respect and safety. On the day of the protest, hundreds of students gathered, their faces serious but determined. The silence was powerful, a stark contrast to the usual noise of school life. Teachers and administrators watched quietly as the students moved in unison, their message clear and unwavering. Emma stood at the front, her heart swelling with pride. The protest made headlines in the local newspaper and sparked conversations beyond the school walls. Parents, community leaders, and officials joined the movement, promising action and accountability. Through it all, Emma held on to her purpose: to protect the vulnerable, to challenge injustice, and to build a world where no child would feel alone or unsafe. Her journey was far from over, but each step forward was a victory. Winter wrapped the city in cold gray light, but inside Emma burned with a quiet fire, a determination that had carried her through months of pain, growth, and struggle. The protests, the speeches, the late-night talks with her mom and friends, they had all built a foundation stronger than fear. One snowy evening, Emma sat by the window, watching the flakes drift slowly down. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Lily, a new girl who had just joined the support group. "Thank you, Emma. Because of you, I feel like I can breathe again." Emma smiled, her heart full. She thought back to where it all began. The loneliness, the frightening messages from Mark, the silence she had once wrapped around herself like a shield. Now, that silence was gone. Her phone rang. It was her mother. "Dinner's ready," she said warmly. Emma stood, ready to face the world with all its challenges and hopes. Because she knew this, no matter how dark the night, the dawn always comes. And with it, new strength, new beginnings, and the promise that no one has to fight alone.